Hi guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new, welcome. Make sure you remember to subscribe before you head off. If you're not, guys, welcome back. Great to have you here. Now, this is a very interesting one because we have two very similar vehicles, BMW versus Tesla. Now, the new BMW, I think, is a direct competitor for the Tesla Model X long range. Very, very similar vehicles in terms of size and more importantly, in terms of price. Now guys, BMW has launched the iX X50, the production version of its iNext concept electric vehicle in the US, and confirmed a starting price of $83,200. Now, the base model Tesla Model X long range starts at $89,900. So we're looking at a $6,700 difference. But obviously with BMWs, it's very hard. I've got a BMW X5. It's very hard to drive away without an options pack. They come fairly slim in terms of options. So you'll probably find that spec for spec, they'll be very similar in price. So there's our first similarity. Now, previously it was reported there was some confusion around the price of the iX. The reason for that was that originally BMW was saying they were working on a Tesla Model 3 comparable vehicle that would cost a similar price to the Model 3. That was their big thing. Now, obviously, they pivoted at some point and decided to make an SUV similar in size to the Tesla Model X. I think that may have been a good decision for BMW because globally SUV sales are rocketing. They're going crazy right now. And sedan sales are declining, except in China, strangely enough. But that's the way it is. Now, the iNext program evolved into a luxury crossover. And earlier this year, BMW confirmed that it would start at over $80,000. Now we've seen that the price is $83,200 plus $995 for delivery destination fees. Now, BMW quoted and said, BMW is proud to announce the BMW iX xDrive50, conceived from the outset as purely electric mobility. The iX sees BMW redefining its successful sports activity vehicle SAV concept. The BMW iX has been created to provide something beyond just mobility, an exhilarating driving experience combined with a sense of well-being for both drivers and passengers, but not onlookers. Anyway, all the while enjoying the journey with safety, security, and in luxury. Now, BMW here in this quote have said this vehicle was conceived from the outset as purely electric mobility. I'm personally not buying that. It's got a very, very long bonnet. And it has no frunk. In fact, it's got a very big bonnet and no frunk at all. I don't know how that's possible if this vehicle was conceived from the ground up to be simply an EV. I don't believe it was conceived from the ground up to be an EV. BMW's strategy by 2030 is to sell 50% petrol, diesel vehicles and 50% EVs. That strategy, in my opinion, will fail. I'll have to pivot before then and change that strategy before then, because obviously no one in 2030 is going to be buying a petrol vehicle when they cost more money than an EV. It's just ludicrous to think that would happen. Now, getting back to the car. Why on earth, if it is an EV, it doesn't have a frunk? It just doesn't make sense to me. I can't understand why it's the case. Now, I believe that this isn't an EV. Obviously, it is an EV we're looking at here, but I believe this car was made to be on the same production line as petrol and diesel vehicles, and the same platform is intended to be used for petrol and diesel vehicles, which has kind of made it a compromise for BMW. I think they would have been better off going all in, bringing out a car more like, say, the Ford F-150, where it has a huge frunk. You can really see that Ford has engineered that vehicle to only be an EV. Even though it looks like an F-150, it's actually really an entirely different vehicle in most ways. So the practicality there is huge. The practicality of having that huge frunk. This, in my opinion, I can't see why it doesn't have that. Let's move on. Now, as previously reported, the BMW iX comes with a dual motor all-wheel drive electric powertrain that has 516 horsepower and will do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.6 seconds, has a range of around 300 miles. I'm going to guess that range might be closer to 300 and BMW's being conservative, so I'm going to peg it at 320. That's what I think based on the size of the battery it's going to do and the size of the car. 320 miles. Now, the Tesla Model X, what will that do? The Model X will do 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, so nearly 1 full second faster than this car. In addition to that, its quoted range is 360 miles. So definitely a longer range than this vehicle. Obviously, the Model X wins in those two categories, range and performance. Now, obviously the price is much higher than what we thought it was going to be, but BMW is saying the car will be packed with features. Here's what they've said. Some of the advanced technology features making their BMW debut in the 516 horsepower iX include DC fast charging up to 200 kilowatt, available 5G and personal eSIM support, a single-piece panoramic glass roof with electrochromic shading, the BMW curved display and iDrive50, BMW Digital Key Plus with ultra-wide band radio technology, available Bowers & Wilkins Diamond surround sound with 4D audio, obviously that is an option, doesn't come standard with that, and the iconic BMW kidney grille serving as an intelligent sensor panel with self-healing capabilities. Well, I wonder if it can self-heal its own ugliness. Well, maybe. Sorry guys, if you like the look of it, well, each to their own, but I'm not a fan of the look. I don't know. My X5, my old X5, I think it looked much better. I don't know where BMW have gone wrong and what they're thinking. Anyway, at least it's an EV. That's a pro. Now, BMW have confirmed that there will be an even more powerful iX M60 model, and that will have 600 horsepower, and really that will be probably comparable, potentially directly comparable to the Model X Plaid. And I'm going to do another video on that car when that comes out, comparing that to the Model X Plaid. We'll look at them and see the price, how they're comparable, and see which one I think is the winner. Now, for now, the BMW iX xDrive50 is coming to the US in Q1 2022. So it'll be here we're probably looking at it'll be here in 8 to 9 months. So some specifications for the BMW. Has 5 seats. Obviously, Tesla Model X has 7. That's an advantage there, I think. Some people won't want the 7 seats, but you don't have to use them. So it's certainly an advantage to have those there in case you potentially need those. Drive type, both vehicles are all-wheel drive. Length. Now, length is interesting. The length of this vehicle of the BMW is 195 inches, whereas the Model X is 198. So the Model X is around about 3 inches longer, which should give it large interior dimensions. In addition to that, the BMW is 77 inches wide, whereas the Model X is 78.7. So it's around about 1.3 inches wider, which doesn't sound like a lot, but actually it is a fair amount. So the extra length and width will give, of course, the Model X a little bit more interior space, obviously enabling Tesla to add those extra 2 seats into the back. Now, the height of both vehicles is 66.7 inches. They're both almost identical in height. And wheelbase of the BMW is 118.1, or the wheelbase of the BMW is actually a little bit longer than the Model X. I think that is an advantage. So a small win there to the BMW with the 1 inch longer wheelbase. Ground clearance is about the same. Obviously, neither of these are actual SUVs. You're not going to take these off-road, maybe on a gravel road, but you're not going to go off-roading with them. And if you intend to do so, it's probably not the right vehicle for you. Now, the BMW has a front motor with 268 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, and a rear motor with 335 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. That provides a combined power output of 516 horsepower and 516 pound-feet. Now, something that matters to me, it may not matter to you, is towing. An interesting fact here. On May 15, 2018, the Tesla Model X and Qantas set the Guinness World Record for the heaviest tow by an electric production passenger vehicle. The Model X was able to tow a 287,000 pound Boeing 787, nearly 1,000 feet, 300 meters on a taxiway at Melbourne Airport in Australia, where I live, by the way, which demonstrates the power of the vehicle while also proving the practicality of the electric powertrain. So, in terms of towing, truthfully, it's a wash because we don't even know what this BMW will tow. I'm sure if you're able to fit a tow ball to it, which I imagine you will be, then the towing will probably be really similar. But just an interesting little fact there for you. Now, what about safety? Well, in terms of the Model X, on June 13, 2017, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announced its crash testing results for the 2017 manufactured Tesla Model X, revealing 5-star ratings in all assessed categories, the only SUV to have ever done so. Tesla attributed the ratings to safety-focused design, in addition to a low center of gravity resulting from its battery pack. Obviously, the BMW will benefit from that low center of gravity due to its battery pack as well. Now, Tesla also said, more than just resulting in a 5-star rating, the data from NHTSA's testing shows that Model X has the lowest probability of an injury of any SUV ever tested before. In fact, of all the cars NHTSA has ever tested, Model X's overall probability of injury was second only to Model S. The Model X has been tested and received 5 stars from Euro NCAP, but has not been tested by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Now, I personally believe, from what I know of BMW, this car will get a very high safety rating. Whether or not it will beat or surpass the Model X, I don't know, but we will soon see. Now, some other specifications. What about the battery? Well, the battery has a voltage of 369 volts, has an energy capacity of 111.5 kilowatt hours, but an actual net energy capacity, so usable battery of 106.3 kilowatt hours. So it's quite a big battery pack. Charging time. Well, it'll charge in 11 hours on an 11 kilowatt charger, like something you'd have at home probably. Charging time, 10 to 80%. On a 200 kilowatt DC fast charger is 40 minutes. Maximum charging is single phase 11 kilowatts and maximum charging DC is 200 kilowatts. Now on June 24, 2020, Tesla increased the Model X supercharging rate to 225 kilowatt, so 25 kilowatt above the BMW. However, at this point, only the Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y can take full advantage of Tesla's 250 kilowatt supercharging stations. So the Model X can charge, of course, in any of Tesla's superchargers, V3 superchargers that is, at a rate of up to 225 kilowatt. Now, obviously, a big benefit of owning the Tesla is the supercharger network, especially in the United States, where this is just a huge benefit and probably a big barrier of entry for buying the BMW to begin with. Now, what about wheels? Well, the BMW comes standard with 20-inch wheels, and the Tesla Model X with 21-inch wheels. Personally, I don't think bigger wheels are actually an advantage. I would say that means nothing, neither here nor there. Tires. Well, the BMW comes with 235mm wide tires, and they sound narrow. My BMW has 255s on the front and 285s on the back, standard from the factory. Now, it makes sense, in my opinion, that EV manufacturers would have narrower tires because narrower tires give you better range. It improves basically your battery economy, and that is the reason why many EVs have narrow tires on them. Now, the BMW comes with disc brakes, so does the Model X. Guys, just a little tip here in case you weren't aware of this. Some manufacturers are actually equipping their EVs with drum brakes at the rear because if you don't use your brakes, which many EV drivers never use their brakes because they're using regenerative braking, what this means is that your disc brakes can actually rust. So that's the reason why some manufacturers have equipped their cars with drum brakes. Now, obviously, if you just use your brakes every now and again, say once a week, that will obviously prevent them from rusting. So what about looks? Well, honestly, a lot of people think that this BMW is extremely polarizing. A lot of people think that the Model X is fairly bland. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Model X. I don't know why it is that, but it just to me looks like a practical shape. It looks like what an EV kind of should look like to make good use of its actual dimensions. So I think for me, form should follow function. Function should follow form, whichever way you want to say that. So therefore, I personally prefer it. But tell me in the comment section, guys, please, which car do you prefer? Which one would you personally buy? Obviously, the BMW is a newer vehicle. It does have a nicer interior. I think it hands down has a far nicer interior than the Model X, even though the new Model X has just received a refresh and the new Model X interior actually looks fantastic. I'm a big fan of it. It's a huge improvement over the previous model. But personally, I think with this BMW, remove those red leather and brown leather seats, make those black, make that interior black. It's actually a very nice looking interior. But that said, it's not a big win because the new Model X, in my view, has also an excellent looking interior. And I don't think there's really much of an advantage of one versus the other, except for when it comes to infotainment, which Tesla absolutely nail with their infotainment. obviously having that huge 17-inch screen in the new Model X and having the ability to game on that screen, having the rear screen at the back that the kids can game on or play on or watch movies on long trips, that's a big advantage. And personally, that is one of the key differences for me having 2 children, the reason that I would be more inclined to buy the Model X, amongst obviously some of the other reasons we've spoken about here, guys. However, the BMW is great in the sense that hopefully this takes a lot of BMW drivers who love the brand and gets them into an EV. And I think that will happen. There are a lot of people who love the brand, they trust the brand, and they perceive the brand as being high quality, and that will get them into an EV more quickly. Obviously, there's comparable petrol cars priced in this sort of ballpark of price from BMW. So it won't be really a big stretch for some of these buyers to move into an EV. That is positive news, and it's something that I'm glad to see. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Remember to subscribe. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.